545 people are watching, pretty good. So welcome everybody. So well, first of all, like, what the heck is it? It's like, can you help us understand, like, what is psychological safety?
So psychological safety describes an environment, a work environment, where people believe that speaking up is feasible, that they believe they can do the hard things like disagree with the boss, ask a question, admit a mistake, all of those things that most of us are both socialized and against doing and reluctant to do simply because we'd rather look good or be liked or get along. Maybe, right? Maybe the better teams aren't making more mistakes. Maybe they're more willing and able to talk about mistakes. In order to do a good job in workplaces today, we need to be willing to take interpersonal risks. I need to ask for help if I'm in over my head. I need to admit when I've done something wrong. I need to question your judgment. I need to do all those things if we are going to perform well.
Employee attributes that promote learning from failure. I'm going to read them real quick and have you explain it. A noisy complainer, a noisy troublemaker, self-aware error maker, and a disruptive questioner.
I'm not really saying we want, noisy, complainy people, right? But what I am saying is that most managers have an implicit mental model, a tacit mental model of which you're largely unaware of what the ideal employee is like. And of course, the ideal employee, which is the other column in that table, is the person who just looks like they've got everything under control at all times, and they don't make mistakes, they don't bother you, blah blah blah, right? And what we're trying to argue is that, in fact, the ways in which you send that message inhibit the very learning behavior that quality improvement and innovation depend upon. The funny thing is, I think the advice is the same. Whether you're the boss or not. One of the syndromes I notice all the time is the look up syndrome, right? Whatever company I'm in, and I'm often with, let's say the top 100 people or something in an organization of 60,000, let's just say. And they will routinely say, well, this stuff is great, but they won't let us. You're like, there's like nobody up there.
Right.
Train yourself to be far more interested in the influence you can have versus the smidgen of stuff you can't change. Combination of, I think, my theory of change and what I try to do, and I don't get to do this full time, so it may not be very good at it, but what I try to do is say, we need to design together a breakthrough and then a follow through.
Okay.
The breakthrough is some kind of emotionally impactful, engaging experience. And then the follow through is a kind of longer journey of building skills, like interpersonal skills, leadership skills at all levels, and working together with the support of your colleagues to use those skills in the context of doing real work. It's very hard to learn if you already know. So it's not about giving up your knowledge, your status, it's sort of like, yeah, I have a valid point of view, but guess what? It's a point of view, right? It didn't come down on a tablet from the mountaintop, right? It's a point of view. And that part, okay, fine. But selfishly, I'm excited. Once I realize I'm missing something, then I'm excited to learn more about it.
Devin, I won't say what company. So Devin has this question, which is really quite interesting. How do you create psychological safety in teams without forcing an unnatural level of vulnerability?
Our natural way of being is highly unlearning oriented. So you can be natural if you want, but it may be at odds with the learning that you really want. So, but that's coming through the unnatural corner. Now let me come into the vulnerability corner.
Okay.
Vulnerability is a fact, right? The only question is whether you come clean about it. Right? So whether you acknowledge it, whether you admit it, being strong enough to acknowledge that vulnerability is a fact, right? That isn't, false modesty or weakness or softness. It's actually strength, right? We're all vulnerable to things outside our control. And I would argue you're going to have a better shot at doing well and being a good team and being a good team leader if you come clean.